Hello, everyone. Welcome to Purely OCD. I am Lauren Rosen. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Just as a reminder, this is not a replacement for therapy. It's for psychoeducation purposes only, and I should be joined momentarily by my darling friend and colleague, Kelley Frankie, who just joined us to talk about real OCD, like what OCD really is. And to kick off OCD Awareness Week. Hello,
Oh, hi, stranger.
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 Hello,
Okay.
stranger.
Sorry
My
we're
head's
late.
cut off.
So is mine, but that's okay. Uh-oh.
Oh dear. We've got a connectivity issue on your end. Oh, I think it's better. Fingers crossed. Or is it my end? I don't know. Could be my
I
end.
think it was your end. You were spinning. It doesn't
Oh,
matter. Hello. Happy OCD Awareness Week.
happy OCD Awareness Week, everybody. Um, So I was mentioning today we're here to talk about what real OCD looks like and what it is, because that's what this week is all about, is raising awareness
Yes, it
and
is.
breaking stigma.
Punch that stigma right in the face.
It's our favorite thing to do is punching stigma. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
pretty
the
much.
aggressive way.
That's the aggressive way.
I
Go
like that
ahead.
we get hearts when we say that. It's so good. So,
So, and if you have any questions, we did get some questions prior to, please throw them in the little question mark icon to the right of the comments bar.
so somebody had mentioned that we should probably talk about it.
You want
Is
to?
Yeah, somebody asked if they should be part of this OCD trial for Biohaven, and
Yeah, so
yeah,
maybe we address that out the gate.
yeah, because it was mentioned twice.
Aha,
So
yes.
yeah,
Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to throw it out there. Neither of us can make any sort of a comment on anything to do with medication, actually. Um, so there's that. First and foremost, we're therapists, so in any context, we don't talk about that. I mean, we're not here as therapists. We're here as advocates, really, but obviously we keep a wide berth with that. That being said, or do you want to take it from there?
no, sorry, I was doing housekeeping with some
Mm-hmm.
people, so I wasn't fully paying attention. But yeah, I mean, the commercial that we did was really the advocacy work and supporting awareness around OCD, and um, Ethan Smith, who is
One
um,
of the lead
the
advocates.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
the trailblazer for all of us, and
Yeah,
the spokesperson for IOCDF, was in charge of this project, and he is an incredible person, is all I can say about that. And
I
he wanted
agree.
to make sure that Biohaven represented folks who really do have OCD, and that it represented accurately what OCD is, because this is the first ever commercial for OCD.
Yeah,
So it airs today, and
yeah. And I think, yeah, so we did this commercial. Well, Kelly's actually, I'm not the I don't know. I think there might be multiple, but we'll see.
yes,
But
there are.
there's also, this is all about an advocacy campaign to support OCD awareness. And like Kelley said, it's the first commercial that exists on a national scale about OCD, to our knowledge anyway. And that was based on Ethan's knowledge, which should be pretty thorough. But this brings us back to what people have been saying in the feed, which is, should I take part in a clinical trial? And
Right.
we
That's
really can't comment on what you should do. That's a question for your doctor. And um, so yeah, I think that's kind of the long of the short of it, is that we really can't say. And the reason I think that we both decided to, do this commercial was really to just support the awareness, right? Not, it's got nothing,
Yeah. It's
although
not
I
a
will
drug.
say, no, it's not about,
It's
it's about,
clinical trials
and that's the
and
other thing.
research. Yeah.
So, um, the commercial is to support awareness, and what Biohaven is doing is running a commercial or running. Oh my gosh, words are so hard. A clinical trial
Hmm.
for a drug for OCD, and so that's something that again you should talk to your doctor about if that's something that you're interested. But
Yeah.
sort of separate to this. This is really just about spreading awareness, which is perfect for this OCD Awareness Week, the Monday of OCD Awareness Week. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, on their website, there's actually a bunch of advocates where we all share our stories, including Lauren and I,
Mm-hmm.
and some other people that you probably already know in our community. And yes, it
Mm-hmm.
will be nationwide, and it's starting today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you go to their website, you can hear everybody's stories. They're about 10 minutes each. And yeah, so that kind of also inspired Lauren and I to talk a little bit about our story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what we're doing here today. So where shall we begin?
Well, maybe at what age, I guess, we were diagnosed.
Yeah. Somebody said the IOCDF website. I'm not sure what the question is, but I did catch
Oh,
that.
where to find it? It's
Oh,
Biohaven's website.
yes,
So if
Biohaven's
you
website.
go to my stories, you'll see a link at their Instagram account.
Yeah.
But
But the campaign really focuses on what ifs, which, if I knew, if my mom was told when I was 7 years old that what ifs were common, like what if questions and getting sort of fixated on trying to resolve them was a part of OCD, it wouldn't have taken me 17 years to get appropriate diagnosis and treatment. And um, I mean, I know for you it was even longer than that, right?
yeah, I think there I said 26, but I stand corrected. It was 28. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know if it would have changed for my family just based on our dynamics, but as an adult, if I would have heard the what ifs, I would go, holy cow, because it actually didn't even occur to me that I was running down the right path until I started working with for Tom at
Tom
the
Poor
OCD
Boy.
Center
Yeah.
as a client coordinator, and he said, "Go home and read the website and tell me what you think." And I was inclined to do it because my grandfather had OCD, and I went home, I read it, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is the missing. This is all. This is the thing." And I went to my therapist, who's at the time treating my PTSD and doing exposure work. And she was already at that point dipping my toes into uncertainty. And I know every time we bumped up against it and she'd do like this pie graph, I remember it so vividly.
Hmm.
And like just that would get me so
Mm.
intensely. And yeah, so
Well, like, what can I ask what the pie chart was about? Because that sounds really interesting and like helpful, maybe as
right.
a, or is that too?
Right. So it was yeah, maybe too much, but
Yeah, no, that's
it
fair.
was it
Sorry, I
was
wasn't trying
really
to pry.
around, no, it's okay. No, it's totally fine. But it's really was around trauma of like this event, this traumatic event that happened to me and whether I played a role in it, which
Mm,
was like this harm related aspect or this moral harm, really,
yeah. Yep.
of like what contributions, like I wanted to know, was I 100% part of this or not? Like, could I
Right.
be
Right. So we
forgiven for
were.
my sins, even though I did?
So I think the interesting thing, like, and what the reason I was asking is I thought maybe we could talk about it from a perspective, if like it was talking about uncertainty. Like, I can imagine that anyone could look at, well, it's probably this chance that it's not, that my fear is not going to come to pass.
Right.
um, but there's always going to be the sliver of the pie
Yeah,
that,
that's what it was. It was
yeah.
like I remember Julie, she's great,
Mm,
saved my life. But
yeah.
she said to me, we're never going to know. And I was like, oh my God. It was like getting punched in the throat, man.
Mm,
But she's absolutely right. And then, yeah, that's
yeah.
my story.
Yeah. Wow. I love how guttural that is, that it was like getting punched in the throat. Like I remember the
Do you
first
remember that
time.
that
Yeah.
moment? Uh-huh.
Yeah, I do. So, I mean, not to skip around too much, but I remember in
No,
my own
no.
story when I was finally diagnosed and treated for OCD, and my therapist was like, "We're not going to try and figure this out." I'm like,
The fuck we aren't.
"What do you mean?" Like, that's the only thing that I want to do in life is figure this out. Like, that's the only thing that's going to make everything okay.
Yeah.
and and that was devastating. Like it was like the initial, it was like getting kicked in the stomach. That's it. Like what? um
Yeah.
and I think probably, I imagine a lot of people here, for those who are also struggling with OCD, or they probably can relate to that too. It's like, no, you're taking away the solution. Stop. Don't do that.
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah. That's the thing, is it's
Um,
like there's always the promise of the solution.
hmm.
So the second that it's like, we're just going to accept that we don't know if and for me, I've been open about this too. Like, well, we don't know if you really relapsed on that piece of tiramisu, that, that, yeah, I don't know, the just making the choice not to go any further with it was not, I did not like that. Sam,
Well,
I am.
but I do not like the green eggs and ham. Okay, so, but that's the reality though, right? Like that's the
Yes.
truth, is like
Yes.
it's gray. It's like it isn't black and white. It's like, yeah, part of it is and some of it isn't. So just
Mm.
whatever we want to do, let's just go in that direction. So
Yeah.
just accept the middle road, right? So for me, it's like I've accepted that I'm not, of course, I'm harming my child emotionally because that's where my OCD has stayed and likely will always stay at a
Mm.
hovering pace, but that's manageable. But I think once I've accepted, okay, probably doing that, but it's unlikely that it's this, you know, that
Yeah.
I'm actually harming her, because there would be like the rationality piece of it is like we won't ever really know, but it's possible. Of course I am.
What, harming her? Yeah. Well,
Yeah, like how do you not
what
go
parent
unscathed?
wouldn't?
Yeah,
No.
in your life. And
Yeah.
also with like this moral aspect, you can't really measure it. Like what your moral,
Yeah.
like what the implications are. So, yeah.
No, like that's the thing, is that, and you're right. And in addition to, on your side, not being able to know for sure, right? And actually knowing, like, of course, like if there's alcohol in something, it's in there, right? Like that was never a question, right?
Yes,
It was the
exactly.
is this, what does this mean, right? And I think that's where yeah, OCD, as many of us talk about, hooks on to one thing that has maybe even a flavor of reality to it and runs with it.
Yep,
And so
sure
then
does.
it can come up with all of these arguments like, oh, but it wasn't 100% alcohol free. So that mean that what does that mean? Right? Instead of it's not something where you like, I don't know. It's the doubting disorder. It'll
Yeah.
always pick up something.
Undoubtedly it does.
Undoubtedly. So, um, in
But
terms
yeah.
of, just to offer a little bit more of a linear perspective to my story, I guess, since that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, I So first symptoms started when I was about 7, and when they started, it was mostly around fear of death, right? So I was really, really scared about me dying, about my parents dying, but it was a lot about what happens in the afterlife and like, will I go to heaven? And what if I don't go to heaven? And what would that be like? And will I be right? So that's where my first manifestation came up. Um, and yeah, I don't know if should I share more?
How old were you?
7-ish.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
my daughter's age.
Little G.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, and I think it's quite common actually, for
Yeah.
kids to have thoughts about that. It's almost the baseline uncertainty, isn't it?
Sure. I think it's more like, are your parents gonna die? Like the parents, the parental, right? Like are
Right.
they, oh, we're dying. Like they're gonna die. You're gonna die one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
I don't know about the afterlife at 7. That's definitely like high octane.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I took it to the
Uh,
next level, but
yeah.
I, you're
Shit,
welcome.
man.
I know. My poor
Sucks.
mother, she's like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
She's like, I've never thought about this.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
should I
kidding.
should I be concerned?
I
Um, it's true though. Um,
know.
so yeah, I think that where was I?
So then after that, I know you tried a lot of different treatment, but it took a
I
while for you to get to OCD.
did. I did try a lot of different treatments, and I had a lot of different things pop up throughout my life, you know? Um, so I, so the concerns, but oh, I know what I was going to say. I think that the thing is, my point is that like that uncertainty that comes up for so many in the course of OCD, about death, about parents dying, about ourselves dying, or if you're me and high octane, whether or not you're going to like the afterlife. Um, that I think that fundamental uncertainty does come up for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And this is where going through treatment can be really helpful because it can help you to explore and accept all of the uncertainty that there is. And today, I would say when I did get, because I found a therapist who she didn't specialize in OCD, not to my knowledge anyway, but she finally was like, well, where were you 5 years before you were born? I'm
Right.
like, I don't know,
Should I be
lady.
worried about
I'm
that?
like, what are you getting at? And then she's like, well, where will you be? And oh no, she said, were you okay then? And I said, yeah, I guess. And then she said, well, where will you be 5 years after you die? And she said, and I said, I have no idea. And then she said, asked the same question. Talking is not my strong suit today, but
No, this is
you get where
good.
I'm going
It's
from
actually
for
helping me a little.
really? Well, that's good. Um, so yeah, it was really interesting to me, and it helped me to accept uncertainty. Looking back, that's exactly what she was doing. She was
Yeah,
like,
she sure
well,
was.
we all we know is this. So I guess we'll have to kind of wait
Go
and
with it.
see. Yeah, maybe not. I mean, she was giving me a little bit of reassurance, I guess, too, but whatever. Um,
I mean,
Ultimately, it helped me stop trying to answer the question.
yeah, there you go.
And I did for a long time. But I do think that that's where this treatment can be so helpful because it took me a long time before I was as accepting of uncertainty around death as I am today. But I think it's all of the work that I've done around this.
Yeah, for sure.
But don't get me wrong, I still get a little bit of like sometimes when I say things like, well,
Oh
maybe I
yeah.
won't, maybe I won't like the afterlife and infinity is a long time. Like it still gets me sometimes. I'm like,
It's like your bread and butter.
yeah, it is.
Well, so mine started as separation anxiety, which is around death too, right? It's like, and is this the last time I'm going to see my grandfather, who was, my grandparents were a huge part of my upbringing.
Mm.
And, um, but the ultimate exposure happened when he actually did die. And we were very, very close. And I was there and part of that. And it definitely spun me in this existential vortex for months. And yeah, it's such an intense experience. I feel like people with OCD experience emotions 10 knots higher than the average person. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's not just OCD. I think like people with generalized anxiety disorder,
Yes, you're
people
right.
with, right? Like, yeah, I think that there are a subsect of individuals who just feel things probably more intensely, although we'll never be able to know because it's not like you can actually test that. It's all
Right.
based on self-report. So subjectively, maybe you're experiencing something more intensely, but I don't know,
True.
maybe somebody else's constitution is just different. But anyway, that's like a
True, true.
whole philosophical rabbit hole that, we could go down or not. Um, but yeah, go ahead. You were saying.
Um, no, I forgot. Oh, so that happened. And then I think that was similar to like what's the afterlife because I just saw this person die and I was like they're gone now. Like
Mm,
they're just gone. Like I'm looking at them and there's nothing like
yeah,
they're gone. Like it
right.
just so your 7-year-old version, it took me like 25 years to get to that point.
Well, I
So
was advanced. What can
you
I
were quite
say?
advanced by 25 years on me.
Yeah. It
Um,
was, I mean, in fairness, it was around the death of somebody else. Like I had an aunt who died
that
and that
triggered it.
generated all of the thought, or was dying.
Got it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's probably quite common.
Yeah.
But it
So,
morphed and changed over time.
yeah, it always
And
does.
it
Taste the
does
rainbow, baby.
taste the rainbow. Um, and I think the other big part of my story that I talk about is when I had my experience with fears around relapse. I got into recovery when I was 19, and then somewhere around 22, I want to say 21, I started ruminating like a mad woman
Mm.
about whether or not I had relapsed by eating a piece of cake, and it wasn't even. It was a memory, right? Like it had been, I think, a year or two since I'd eaten the piece of tiramisu when I started compulsively trying to
Interesting.
find an answer. Um,
I guess I didn't
yeah.
realize that part of the story.
Yeah. I mean, I initially did. And then I called my sponsor and she's like, "You're fine." And I was like, "Oh, of course I'm fine. Naturally." and then,
Everything's fine.
and then a couple of years later, I was like, "But what if, you know?"
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
Then the other shoe dropped.
there it is. Yeah.
Kablooey.
Kablooey.
Just
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a couple of years of my life.
right.
It's really a trip, though, being in a place where you can talk so openly about this stuff. I have to say, for anyone who's watching who thinks, "Oh my God, I could never talk about this." I was convinced for a long time that I would never be able to like have a substantial relationship because who in the world would understand or love somebody who would be afraid that they relapsed on a piece of cake and think about it nonstop for 2 years? Like that was my thought process. And it's, I look back on that now and I'm like, oh,
Well,
she couldn't have been more wrong.
I
But,
know.
but
That's
that's
the secondary part of OCD. It's that second arrow, right?
damn shame, man. It's,
Oh, that's
yeah.
heavy, dude. I love you
Aw, I love you
so
too.
much.
And we appreciate, I think Krista was saying, thank you, ladies, for being vulnerable. It's sad that opening oneself up can open doors for someone to criticize. Aw. Well,
Thank
and
you.
we are both beautiful queens, she says. Likewise. Um,
Very much. Thank you for that.
yeah, yeah. I think it's really important. I think understanding that pretty much everyone has imposter syndrome, I think.
Well,
I don't know that I've ever met anyone without, you know what I mean? Like that you're not that you're hiding the thing that's going to keep everyone from loving you or even
yeah.
liking you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, wait till they find out. Any day now. They're gonna all find out. I've duped Lauren even, you guys, I swear. Every time I'm like, oh
No,
man, is she gonna figure out that I'm really not normal and
that you're
not
really extraordinary. Yeah. No, but
mm,
that's the thing, right? Like, and I've done the same thing with you. And I know my husband used to say, like, you're going to find out. You're going to find out someday. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
that's just, this is what it is to be a human being.
I still think about every time working at the OCD center when my phone would ring and it would show like our boss's number. I'd be like, oh my God, he's gonna fire me. Today's the day.
Today is the day.
I'm gonna lose my job. It's happening. And the
It's right now.
anxiety, just sweat pouring down my face. It's like he figured it out. He figured it out.
Yep. Yep. I remember that too. Yeah. Especially early on. As time went on, I was
We
like a
really
little
duped
bit,
him
but
then, I guess.
yeah, I guess so. Because he kept me around for a while.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
what else about your story do you want to share, friend?
Well, I know we're on a time limit, so
Hmm.
yeah, it just evolved as I got pregnant, and then after pregnancy, it like just jumped around, right? Like contamination, existential, physical harm. Always like with the head popping experience was
Mm,
intense, the visuals, but then the tried and true was like you're morally harming her,
mm,
which is like you're putting your attachment isn't good enough. You're not mirroring her well enough. You're not validating her. You can't read her cues. She feels neglected and you don't even know it.
mm. Yeah, freaking so
So,
rude. So rude, OCD.
but that was
Come
really
on.
at that point, I um, really did a lot of my own work because I was already immersed in the work and I had help from a therapist, an OCD specialist who really took it to the next level for me. And,
Yeah.
but ultimately accepting that my brain, hearing that again of like, not just we have to accept uncertainty, but like, you have to accept that your mind's always going to do this.
Mm,
And it doesn't mean that you're going to have a horrible life, but that you can bring it with you and it can be managed and you can choose to respond to it differently. So you can buy the shit it's selling, or you can just say, oh, thank you for the offer. Um,
I'm not buying today, thank
yeah,
you.
I'll pass.
That reminds me, actually, weirdly enough, do you ever see the movie As Good as It Gets?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Melvin Udall, right, who's
Mm-hmm.
played by Jack Nicholson, has OCD. And I don't even remember what he's talking about, but at one point he says, like, we're not buying any here today, thank you. Like, I think it's that movie. Anyway, that's
Probably. I
so,
haven't seen it in a minute, but
yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
channeling it. Um, yeah.
So that's my story. That's the end of my story, guys.
I think accepting like and that's something that has come up in my recovery as well is the obsessing about compulsing and obsessing about obsessing and the like sort of the treatment related obsessions. Am I doing this right? Will
Yes.
it always be this way?
Yes.
The fixation, the emotional checking. So that is one that comes up for a lot of people, I think. And you know, as
It's the
yours,
worst.
good. It's the worst. It's
They're
so
all the worst.
sticky. I mean, they're all the worst. But I think the simplicity of coming back to what's actually happening in the here and now and getting out of whatever it is you're trying to figure out
Yeah.
um, is really key. And yeah, I think just sort of rounding out because it's interesting. Your journey started with separation anxiety. And I think what I've noticed my anxiety do over the years has really shifted. Well, that's not even true. It's not even true that it's shifted because I think honestly, like looking back, I can see it permeating my whole life is this like social anxiety piece. And
Mm.
there's so much overlap. There's just, I don't think of them really as different,
Mm.
because it's all about the same thing, having thoughts, you know, what if they're thinking this about me? What if I biffed that? What if they hate me? What if I hurt them? Kind of getting into the moral scrupulosity. We talk about the
Right.
concentric circles all the time and how they overlap,
Totally.
but um, and I think that it's the same concept in terms of recovery. It's I have no idea. Ultimately, I don't, right? Like I can.
Well, right. That's the truth in all of it.
This is the truth. Like I mean, I
We
hope
don't know if we
people.
harm someone. We don't know if
Yeah,
people like us. We don't know. I mean, obviously some people don't like us because we
yeah.
deal with it really
Yeah,
like,
yeah. For those of you who are listening in, yeah, we have a friend who visits us on the profile that you may have heard about in previous episodes on the lives on Instagram, and yeah, no, it is. It's like an external manifestation. It's good. It's good exposure. See?
it's the
Excellent
timing.
exposure. Fantastic. I love it.
We love exposure so much,
Exposures are my absolute
but
favorite.
we won't put up with bullying. So goodbye, sir.
No. Not
Um,
that we hate giving any more attention to this, whole thing, but I just, for whatever it's worth. Um, Go.
Someone asked about getting help around the alcohol recovery and OCD, which Lauren's,
Yes.
you want to
Yep.
take it away?
I do. So there are several clinicians who do treat the co-occurrence. If you need referrals, you can direct message me and I'll do my best. I mean, it's not in all of the states, but for so there are outpatient providers who are sort of focused in that realm. In addition, there is the Foglia Family Foundation and Dr. Patrick McGrath, who is now the clinical director of NOCD, started that some time ago, and it's the only facility in the country that treats both OCD and substance use disorder concurrently. But yeah, really important.
Yeah.
A lot of co-occurrence there. So
Yeah, very important. We got a lot
yeah.
of work to do, Lauren. Lots of
Okay.
work.
Never ends, my friend. Never
No.
ends. Do we have time for a question? We got to pop off. I know we kind of,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we
but
do.
sorry, guys. I'm sorry we
Yeah.
didn't get to questions today. We were too busy, sort of recounting what our own experiences around this have been, and hopefully it's been helpful in some way. And I hope everyone has a really great week and happy OCD Awareness Week.
Happy OCD Awareness Week. And if you want to share your story at all, just you can put it in the captions below too, so it might help somebody. You never know.
You never know. All right.
Okay. Adios.
TTFN.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.